Welcome into our NFL pick show for the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. I am Spencer. He is Jason. We are both of poolgenius.com, the only website dedicated to helping you win more sports pools. And that's what we're going to do in this episode. We're going to run through two value picks for spread pools. We're going to discuss game winner pools, and then we're going to outline each of our favorite picks overall for this divisional round. And mine is, let's just say it's a little bit on the creative side. We're going to get to that towards the end of the episode here. But first off, before we get to those picks, Jason, do you have any general advice when it comes to NFL spread pools now that we are in the second round of the playoffs?
Yeah, spread and game winner. I think the advice overall is similar. How it plays out is different because obviously spread pools are the great equalizer. And so you got to rely more on figuring out who the popular side is. It's pretty easy in game winner. It's probably going to be the favorite at this point. Yeah, you need to pick your standings. Like not only how far back you are, or if you're in a big tie with a bunch of people, but how many people are between you or tied with you or between you and first. So both the gap and the volume of entries should dictate exactly how aggressive you are this round and going either by picking upsets outright in game winners or going against the popular side, rejecting line movement, things like that in your pool. Because, if you got to make up, even if it's like one or two games, right? If there's a lot of people in front of you, the picks are going to be split. You're going to have a hard time making up ground over the last, there's 4 games now, 2 more, and then 1 more in the Super Bowl. So over the course of 7 games, you really got to get aggressive because you're going to be matched on a lot of those picks, especially in spread pools, like if there's enough entries. If you're only chasing one, it's a little different. That is only one chance to match you, but if there's 3 or 4 in front of you, all it takes is a couple of them to be on your side, and you're going to have a hard time moving up. So get aggressive if you are trailing. If you are in the lead, you can play to the favorites and the popular picks.
Yeah, and we're going to run through those. So it's important to kind of keep that in mind as we're giving out the pick popularity that we are seeing for this divisional round. So let's go ahead and move right into that. We have 2 value picks that are popping up in spread pools. We really don't see any in game winner pools. Do you want to speak to that real quick?
Yeah, I mean, you never know how it'll shake out, but obviously we're at a point like last week we did see some differences. Some toss-up games that were drawing one side or the other, things like that. But this week we see the Bills Broncos is pretty fairly split. Buffalo may be slightly ahead in how people are picking, but it's close. And then, as you might expect, the favorites are being picked in the other 3 games, at least as much as their win odds and slightly more. So Seattle's the most popular, biggest favorite, followed by the Rams and Patriots close together, and then the gap down to the toss-up game with the Bills. So pretty much mirroring what you would expect in the game winner pools.
Yeah, and it's I mean, we get to this stage in the playoffs, and first off, we have fewer games. So we have less opportunities to get like real value picks coming out like this. And secondly, we know who these teams are. Like there aren't really any week to week surprises here of like, the injuries and things like that. Like we know who each team's playing. We've seen a full season's worth of games. I mean, we know where these teams are and where the market values them. So usually the
And
public
all these
falls in
teams,
line.
by the way, all 8 teams playing this weekend won their last game. So we don't have like, oh, I'm going to pick against the Packers. Did you see how they choked down the stretch? No, you can't pick against the teams that just lost. So the public can't, swing against somebody who just looked bad or played poorly at the end or anything like that. All these teams are coming off wins, even the 2 number 1 seeds in their final game.
Right. So let's get to our 2 value picks that we do see here in spread pools. The first one, we have Seattle -7 or -7.5, depending on where that line landed in your pool. Taking on the 49ers. Only 29% of entries in spread pools are taking the favored Seahawks here against the spread. And that is the lowest overall of the divisional round. So is this like, is the public high on the 49ers here? Like, I know they're coming off that upset win. It's a good upset win, don't get me wrong, but there are cracks in the armor to this 49ers team, and that's why they're a touchdown underdog on the
Well, I
road,
think
but the public's not picking them that way.
yeah, and this public data, it actually is more extreme when we look at like betting site data and how people. So this is a blend of like national sites with more casual pools plus how people are picking just betting, and tickets and things like that. And so it's actually higher on in like what you would call like the more serious better side, and a little lower on the recreational side. That said, San Francisco is a more popular site everywhere. So that tells me there's a real signal there. I think it's both how San Francisco pulled a big upset. And so the market kind of moved against them. We saw that line move like 2.5 points, right? It was 3.5. I think when we recorded this show, it closed at 6. The Eagles got steam, right? And then it didn't pan out. 49ers, despite Kittle also going out. Could you imagine what they would have set that line at if they known Kittle would be out with a Achilles tear like early in the game? It would have been over 7. And yet San Francisco got it done again. I mean, this team has been resilient. They have played hard. And so I think that's part of it. Seattle didn't play last week, so we kind of forget. And the number. I think, bettors are going to bet the number. It's if it's at 7.5, people are going to tend to take that hook in the playoffs, I think. And so I think the number matters here too.
Yeah, and this goes back to where you are in the standings, how you want to play this, how you want to interpret that information and use it to your advantage. Like if you're up in the standings, you might want to take the 49ers knowing that majority of the people behind you are sort of leaning that way. So really do with that information what you will depending on the situation. So the second value pick that we see here, it's another favorite. It's the Rams minus 3.5 at the Bears. Only 40% of entries in spread pools are taking the Rams minus 3.5 here. That's the second lowest of the divisional round. I guess, Jason, how do you explain this love for the Bears? Is the public taking the number once again, like we were saying with the previous one? Or, I mean, is the public just looking at the Bears saying, they got some magic going, they cannot be stopped?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're getting lots of factors coming in here. The Rams didn't cover the number. They were a big favorite and got involved in a sweat and needed to score to advance in the final 2 minutes. So they didn't look as good as I think people expected, especially after jumping to a lead. And then the Bears are coming off, this Bears voodoo magic that's going on, like falling behind, one of the bigger comebacks in playoff history. Definitely in the top 10. There's certainly a couple that exceed it, but it was one of the bigger ones. I mean, they were down, they were out again. The Packers refused to put them away. 2 missed field goals, including one at the end of the half. That Packers offense doing nothing in the second half. And despite the Bears honestly squandering chances for like most of the first half of the game, were able to come back late and win again. Have now beat the Packers twice while never taking a snap with the lead in the games. Quite the amazing stat.
That's ridiculous, by the
Bears
way.
voodoo magic. And I think there's so not only like how these teams finished their last games, versus the number, but cold weather, Chicago, over a field goal. So you're getting the hook there. You got the potential for, I don't think precipitation as much, but it could just be really cold. And you got an LA team going to the Windy City against an underdog. And so I think some of that's holding that down, and some handicapping factors might be leading people. So lean on the underdog as well.
Yeah, this is really surprising to me that these two pop out as value picks because we've been doing this podcast, these episodes all season, and the recurring theme has been the public just slamming the favorites. Like, find someone that loves you as much as the public loves a big favorite That's not the case right now here in the playoffs. So I don't know if this is like the public overreacting to the underdogs went 4-2 last week against the spread. Is that right?
Well, but the types of underdogs you get in the regular season can be different than the types you get in the playoffs, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
We are no
it would be the gross
longer
ones.
refusing to pick, the Titans
And
and
the Saints.
Jets, right? And so, we're talking about the Bears who won 12 games
Yeah.
and just won again on Voodoo Magic. I mean, so and as a dog repeatedly, and so, I think it's the fact that these dogs are, at least in the public's mind, live are dogs because they're winners, quote unquote. They're playoff teams.
Right. All right, let's move on to the next segment. We are going to tee this up with Jason's favorite pick against the spread for this divisional round. What is it, Jason?
Yeah, I've got a couple here that I debated. So it's not gonna be Seattle, though I do like Seattle, and my similar games analysis, the Seattle comp teams, the teams like them because this Seattle team, I think, is more dominant than people realize. And they honestly should have beat the 49ers by more in that final game when they held them to 3. They dominated that game, and their offense kind of underperformed and didn't capitalize on all its chances. But they still dominated that game. But the Seahawks team didn't have a great turnover margin, but all the other metrics, they're like up there in every efficiency metric on both offense and defense. I mean, when they do pass the ball, they hit big plays. So Seattle, I think long term, I like Seattle to win. I'm a little hesitant right now to say it's 7.5. I want to see where this number ends up. But if it gets to 7, I definitely like it more. But I'll go to New England and Houston Texans. This is another cold weather team drawing a team from the South, but that team is catching points. That team is catching over the hook, 3.5. That is the best defense in the league. That team, I mean, you give me the best defense as a dog in the playoffs after they've already won a game and are getting rolling. You've got, I mean, I like New England. I actually think the winner of this game, I like to go to the Super Bowl. I'll say that. I know the Bills probably have the cachet and Josh Allen, and you got Denver as the 1 seed. I like whichever of these teams comes out of here, but I like getting the 3.5. I mean, this Houston team just won a game where their quarterback fumbled 5 times. And they won it by 24, which tells you how good that defense is, that is the performance that gets them through. So they don't need Stroud to be great by any means. I think New England might in this game need May to be great against this Houston defense. And New England has not faced this caliber of defense. The closest they came was last week against the Chargers, but I still think it's not even close. I mean, I look down the New England schedule. I know there's been plenty of talks about their strength of schedule. I think they're a really good team. They played the schedule in front of them, but the truth is they have not faced this caliber of defense in this setting, and so I like getting the points here. I think it'll be a great game. I like just catching a team with this defense, getting 3.5.
So the biggest question I feel like people are going to ask of this is, what do you think of the Nico Collins injury? The fact that I mean, we're recording this on Wednesday afternoon, so we don't have anything official, but he probably sustained a concussion on Monday. I would be very surprised if he's able to go in this game. But from what you're saying there is you're seeing more of a lower scoring battle where Texans offense doesn't have to do a ton. It's not going to be a back and forth shootout where they absolutely require the services of their number 1 receiver.
Yeah.
You're leaning more on the defense.
Yeah, and I think this number might be on the other side of 3 or at 3 if he was playing. For sure. Here's the thing. Houston is like in our power rankings, just raw game results, schedule, the strength of schedule between these teams is vastly different. The power rankings, we have Houston like 3.5 points better on a neutral field just based on the results from this year. And they did that while Stroud was out, while Collins is injured. They've had more injuries in this Patriots team at key spots to build those numbers. So it's not like that's a fake number. And where New England was like, oh, we had the injuries half the year and our numbers like deflated. this Houston team's really good. The market has just been low on them because they're a defensive kind of ugly type team. But this defense is like, it is very much in play to be the type that has just carried teams to the Super Bowl out of a wild card spot like the 2000 Ravens. That team was a wild card team. That team had a bad offense that was inconsistent, worse than this one. Are they there? I don't know, but they're close. I mean, this is one of the best defenses we've seen this side of the Legion of Boom a decade ago in the playoffs, I think.
Another defense carrying through the playoffs. You cannot forget about the Mark Sanchez Jets making it to the AFC Championship game. That's I'm not calling CJ Stroud Mark Sanchez. I'm not drawing that comparison at all, but
no, but the numbers have been not great on offense, and they're still getting it done. And what have they won? Like, this team has won because they started the year, what, 0-3?
Yeah, I think it hasn't been 10 in a row.
Yeah, they were 3-5, and they're now 13-5 with the playoff win. And they were 0-3 to start the year. And then folks can remember that survivor pick that people got mad at us about when we gave out the 0-3 Houston Texans as our top survivor pick in week 4. This team stinks.
Against the Titans.
Oh, apparently they don't stink anymore. That line would be like 2 touchdowns today.
That game was actually a sweat until the fourth quarter, and then the Texans blew them out in the fourth quarter.
But also the Titans didn't score that game.
Exactly. There was not much of a threat.
Right. And so, yeah, I mean, they gave up 30 in that finale to Indianapolis. How seriously were they taking that game? I mean, they needed to win to maybe keep outside hope for the South. But other than that, they had one other Jags game that was a shootout, and I'm just looking down their scores. I mean, they had a Seattle game. You remember the ugly one on Monday night that they lost. But that was more because the offense didn't do anything. Not that the defense got beat up. And so this team has been really good. This has probably been one of the top 5 teams in the league consistently for the last 3 months. And so, yeah, I'm willing to play on this defense.
All right, let's pivot over to my favorite pick of the week, and it's a little bit creative. As I said at the top, I am going with a teaser this week. We haven't done teasers in a while here, so I figured why not bring it back out. It is also my favorite look of the week. The first leg, you said you like the Seattle Seahawks. I do too. I'm taking them -7.5. I'm playing that down on a 6-point teaser down to -1.5 over the 49ers. And then for the second leg, I am taking the Buffalo Bills +1.5. I am teasing them up to +7.5. Get it over a touchdown there at the Broncos. So those are the 2 legs, -120 odds on that teaser. Seahawks -1.5, Bills +7.5. How does this one lose, Jason?
I mean, it's playoffs. They can lose because things happen. But yeah, it would be an amazing result if San Francisco won this game. Just with, I know they just beat a very limited offense in Philadelphia that underachieved all year, and we had talked about how we didn't like that Eagles team, and they were able to get it done. I think the Eagles brought San Francisco's, San Francisco's been very game and played hard, but they have deficiencies on defense that you can exploit, and the Eagles just couldn't do it. I mean, just with their limitations in their passing game. I think Seattle can hit those, and we also saw the Seattle defense is just on another level too. We talked about Houston's defense. The Seattle defense is close, not quite as dominant on a per play basis, but over the course of the game, they're just not giving up many points. They're shutting people down. And so this Seattle defense, held San Francisco. I think it was the first time San Francisco has been held to 3 points in the Shanahan era, or recently in the Shanahan era, in that finale when they won number 1 seed. And so I just think the Seattle was the better team then. They were the road favorite. It got steamed up. I took that early in the week. I took that the week before when they somehow were like a slight dog, and it made no sense to me. The Seattle team was really good, and they were the favorite then, and they backed it up and won comfortably, and I think they'll do it again. I think San Francisco, it's been an admirable season and a great season. I think this is the game it runs out. We'll see.
Yeah, and so I came into making this teaser pick by having the Seahawks as my anchor. I knew that was going to be locked in, and then I was debating on the second leg whether I wanted to tease the Bills up to 7.5 or tease the Houston Texans up, who you took from 3.5 to 9.5. Obviously, I felt like the Bills was a better play because you're getting it through that key number, through 3 and through 7, where Houston's already on the other side of that. But if you have any hesitations with the Bills here, I think it's perfectly fine to also go to Houston 9.5 for all the reasons that you stated that you like Houston. If you get them over 9 points, I think that's
Yeah,
a fine teaser like
I
too.
do feel like New England of those teams, New England, Denver, is better capable of hitting
Explosive.
enough offense
Yeah.
to stretch it out by more than a score. This Denver team has kept every game close, and just like, and their defense is good, but by the numbers, it's not as dominant this year. And so, like, I'm going to look at their yards. Like, I know they're the 1 seed. Yeah, I mean they're still up there. Uh, looks like they're second in yards, third in points allowed. So still pretty good, this Denver team, but that offense has been inconsistent. Even though the numbers look okay, they played a lot of teams with poor quarterback play. Like, it's pretty funny, like, that they have won but not covered against, like, you can make a laundry list and it would look like the Browns quarterbacks from, like, the last 20 years, but it could be all quarterbacks the Broncos have played this year. Like, from your from your, like, Justin Fields and, like, the Raiders quarterback situation and just, like, every the
Chiefs backup.
the Chiefs back third string. I mean, it has been something. And so I'm going to glance down the quarterbacks they play. I just want to. Josh Allen is they played Herbert, lost to him early before the injuries caught up to him. They caught the Bengals without Burrow.
There you go.
They did
That
beat Hurts.
that wasn't even Flacco.
No. They beat Hurts on the road, and they beat Dak Prescott and CJ Stroud. So I think those are probably the best ones that they've faced. The Packers had injuries that game, and then they lost at home to Trevor Lawrence, right? And so this is going to be more of a challenge, This is going to be one that's more of a challenge for them, and I think the Bills can do enough to keep it close. This one I don't see getting away from either team. I think it's going to be very similar to what we saw in Jacksonville last week, where this one's going to come down to the fourth quarter.
Right. And we all know Josh Allen can work his magic in those instances. We'll see if the Denver Broncos have a response for him. So that will do it for our NFL picks. We did 2 spread value picks to start out. We did Jason's favorite pick against the spread and then a teaser pick from me. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoy the content we're putting out over on the Pool Genius YouTube channel, please consider subscribing and liking this video, and also checking out all of our content over at poolgenius.com. So with that, good luck in your NFL picks for the divisional round.